Thank you for joining us in this second episode. We hope you enjoyed the first part of this story. Before we continue, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join our growing community. Rain hammered the industrial district, turning potholes into pits of black water. The boy in the hood slipped between warehouses like someone who had memorized every shadow. Detective Wamboi sprinted ahead, radio pressed to her mouth. Block all exits to the south. He's heading toward the tracks. Eli jumped out of the car before anyone could stop him. The discarded shoe lay at his feet, a small, trembling artifact of terror. He forced himself to place it gently into an evidence bag and ran. The killer was quick, unnervingly quick. He vaulted a stack of crates, splashed through puddles, and ducked under a half-rolled shutter into Warehouse 12. Officer Ndayama reached the entrance fast, breathing hard. "He's cornered," he said. "Only one way out." Wamboi didn't look convinced. "Only one way we see." She swept her flashlight in arcs as they slipped inside. Inside Warehouse 12. The space was cavernous. Machines slept under taps like giant beasts. Yellow paint flaked from the steel beams overhead. Water dripped from a crack in the roof, tap, 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 a metronome of waiting. Eli stepped in last, the ears wide open. There, a sound that didn't belong. A breath quickly stifled. He pointed to a stack of pallets near the sorting conveyor. Wamboi nodded and signaled silently to flank. Ndayama approached fast, a hand hovering near his gun, a torch beam trembling. "Come out," he called. "No one's going to hurt you." Silence answered. Then, a clang above them. The boy was already climbing, scaling the warehouse scaffolding like a spider. Eli dashed forward, eyes following every movement. Wamboi cursed. "He knows this place." They all ran for the stairs, but the killer reached the catwalk first. He paused just long enough to look down at them. Not with panic or rage, but disappointment. Eli met his eyes, sharp, unblinking, and steady. The boy tilted his head as if asking a question Eli couldn't hear. Then he turned and leapt. The roof. By the time they reached the rooftop hatch, the killer was sprinting across corrugated iron slick with rain. Beneath them, trains rumbled like restless thunder, ready to swallow anything that fell. Floodlights from the yards cast the scene in harsh white and deep black, a world of extremes. "Stop!" Wamboi shouted. "We can help you." He didn't even glance back. Eli forced himself faster, his shoes slipping. He was only meters away now, close enough to see the soaked fabric of the hood clinging to a narrow frame. Close enough to hear breath. Not frantic, focused. He lunged. His hand brushed the killer's sleeve, wet fabric cold against his skin. But the boy jerked free with a twist of practiced survival and vaulted the final barrier. And disappeared over the edge onto the railway. Eli skidded to the drop and looked down. The tracks were empty. The night had eaten him. Aftermath. Police swarmed the train yard, combing every gap as every maintenance shed. Dogs sniffed, officers shouted commands, radios buzzed with frustration. No trace. Detective Ndayama kicked the gravel, defeated. He vanished. Again. Wamboi steadied her breath, but her voice cracked. He planned the escape route. Used the storm. Used us. Eli stared at the tracks, parallel lines stretching into the dark, and realized something awful. This killer didn't fear capture. He feared irrelevance. And he had just proven his message. I can be anywhere. I can be among you. And he still can't stop me. Eli felt the weight of the shoe in his pocket. The child it belonged to was still out there. Clock ticking. Rain falling. A city holding its breath. He closed his eyes and listened to the storm, forcing himself to filter signal from noise. There, faint and far, a train horn echoing like a cry swallowed by distance. The killer was moving. And Eli would have to move faster. Rain eased the next morning, leaving the city washed but not cleansed. Eli hadn't slept. Every sound, a creak in the roof, a distant matatu horn, made him sit bolt upright, pulse quickening. The new killer had slipped away, and that failure itched beneath his skin like mosquito bites he couldn't scratch. Before sunrise, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Did you enjoy the chase? We are just getting started. Eli's breath frosted the air, or maybe that was just fear pretending to be cold. Another message followed. You solved one puzzle as a child. Solve the next as a man. Attached a photo. A railway switchbox, heavily rusted. Painted numbers 72A. In the background, just visible, the red metal door. Nairobi had thousands of switchboxes. But the killer wasn't sending the city, he was sending Eli. And that meant it was a place Eli knew. His fingers trembled as recognition struck. The old depot near Ngara, where he used to wander, listening to the city breathe when he was younger. The killer wasn't hiding. He was inviting. The meeting room. Detective Wambui slapped the table when she saw the text. He's obsessed with you, she said. He wants control, attention, and audience. Diama scowled. He wants to make you dance. Eli kept staring at the printed photo. No. He wants to see how fast I can learn. Wambui leaned forward. And that's what worries me. She laid out rules. Kick up 1, never go alone. Kick up 2, never respond directly. Kick up 3, never let him dictate the pace. Eli nodded, but deep inside, he knew rule 3 was already broken. Clue number 2. Hours later, another message. You see the shape forming. Trace the curve. 1 step closer to the center. Attached, a line drawn on a map screenshot. A curved slash sweeping across the city, through Kileleshwa, Westlands, Pangani, Ngara. The same crescent Eli had noticed earlier. He felt a chill. The killer was confirming Eli's own deduction. Diama tapped the map. He's watching you work. How? Wambui answered fast. He's been studying this investigation longer than us. Eli said nothing, but he was thinking. He might have been studying me longer than that. The third message. That evening, Eli walked home with his head down, hoodie up. But paranoia followed like a stray dog. Was that boda slowing for him? Was that pedestrian glancing too long? As he reached his gate, his phone pinged. This time, no photo. A riddle. Where the silence falls loudest. And once you begged for bread. Meet me before the lights come on. Eli's heart stopped for a beat. He knew exactly where that was. The bakery wall in Kabiru. Where he listened to the city as a child. Where he learned to map fear by sound. The killer was burrowing into Eli's origin, the place that forged him. Wambui didn't need to guess. We go. Carefully. Tonight. The trap. Dusk bled into night. The bakery's shutters were down, corrugated metal dripping dew. Officers hid in alleys, crouched behind parked cars. Plainclothes constables pretended to argue over a game on a cracked phone. Wambui stayed at Eli's side, a hand near her holster. Eli knew the killer was here. He could feel it, the city's noise thinning, focused on a single intent. Wind brushed past. A dog barked once, then whined. A bottle clinked somewhere behind the fruit stand. Then, a soft voice from behind the fence. Still listening? Eli turned slowly. The killer stood just beyond the chain link, her hands in pockets, hood down for the first time. He wasn't a monster. He was a boy near Eli's age, maybe 18, with a face you wouldn't notice in a crowd. Calm eyes. Lips curved not in a smile, but in certainty. Why me? Eli asked, voice steady despite his racing pulse. The boy answered as if they were discussing schoolwork. Because you had him before anyone else. He stepped closer. And now, you hear me. Wambui gave the signal. Officers surged. But the hooded boy dropped a smoke canister at his feet. A hiss. A billow of white choking the alley. Coughing, shouting, scrambling. Through the smoke as the boy's voice drifted. Don't chase the city, Eli. Chase the shape it makes. And then, it's silence. By the time the air cleared, he was gone. Again. The aftermath. Wambui punched her thigh in rage. He's treating us like students in his class. Eli barely heard her. His mind replayed the words. Chase the shape it makes. Not the victims. Not the locations. Not the fear. The shape. He grabbed a marker and circled each crime site on a paper map pinned to the station wall. Not a crescent. Not random. A spiral. Winding inward. Toward the heart of Nairobi. Toward the most crowded places. Toward the maximum attention. The killer wasn't escalating violence. He was escalating audience. And Eli now understood the worst truth so far. This killer wants the city to watch. Wants Eli to witness. He's building a finale. And children were running out of time. Eli's breaking point. Morning came, but Nairobi didn't feel awake. Every radio station repeated the same haunting warning. A masked child killer is still out there. Schools shortened schedules. Parents held hands tighter. The city had learned to fear small footsteps. Eli arrived at the precinct hours early, sleep-deprived and vibrating with adrenaline. His desk was buried under case files and witness statements that led nowhere. Every photograph felt like a taunt. Detective Wambui set a steaming cup of chai beside him. You need to rest. We can't afford mistakes. I'm fine, Eli lied. He couldn't rest. Not while a child was hidden somewhere in the city, and while another child hunted. He scanned the killer's notebooks again, the ones found at previous scenes. Drawings, symbols, coded scribbles. On the last page, a new message had been scratched over the old ink. Too slow. Eli's hands balled into fists before he forced them open. The interview room. A teenage boy sat handcuffed, glancing toward the two-way mirror, a petty thief caught near the rail yard. Not a suspect, but maybe a witness. Eli stepped in, pulling up a chair. You saw someone last night. Who did? Small. The boy shrugged. People run from cops all the time. Eli slammed his palm on the table, harder than necessary. This one takes children. The kid flinched, fear flooding his eyes. Eli exhaled, shame rising. Wambui's voice crackled through the intercom. Step outside. Now. Outside, she pinned him with a stare, combat edged with worry. You're crossing lines. Remember why you joined this job? To save people. Eli scoffed. How many have we saved lately? She softened. One. The next one. You focus on the next one. But in Eli's head, the killer's message repeated. Too slow. Too slow. Too slow. Nightfall at home. Eli's apartment was a museum of exhaustion, dishes untouched, lights dim, a map of Nairobi pinned to the wall, red strings marking disappearances. He stared at the ceiling, unable to close his eyes. Every shadow in the room felt like a doorway. His phone vibrated. Unknown number. He answered, its silence fast. Then a voice, soft and wrong. Detective Eli, you almost touched me. His blood turned to ice. I wish you had. We could have played longer. Where is the boy? Eli snapped. Where are you? Closer than you think. A faint sound in the background, the train horn. Then another voice, small, afraid. Please, let me go. Eli's heart nearly stopped. Don't hurt him. The killer giggled, a child's giggle, but twisted. You're angry. I like you angry. It makes you faster. And the line cut. Eli stood frozen, phone clenched, breath ragged. Rage and terror strangling rational thought. He grabbed his gun, his badge, his keys. No backup. No strategy. Just the boy he refused to lose. The killer's origin. Detective Wamboi arrived at Eli's apartment before he could slam the door behind him. She must have traced his phone. She wasn't taking chances anymore. Talk, she ordered. Eli relayed the call word for word. The train horns. The child's voice. The taunts. He expected anger. Instead, the Wamboi nodded slowly, like puzzle pieces were finally clicking. There's something you need to see, she said. Back at HQ, the files no one wanted. In a locked archive room, Wamboi rolled out a metal drawer with a squeal. 3 years ago, she began, the fire tore through a children's shelter in Eastlands. Everyone assumed it was an electrical fault. She laid out photographs, charred walls, collapsed beams. No survivors, Eli said quietly. Wamboi shook her head. One survivor. A boy. 6 years old. Name, Radem Kiptu. Eli frowned. That name isn't on any registry. It was wiped, she replied. Someone didn't want him found. She placed another file on the table, guarded by a red confidential stamp. Eli opened it carefully. Psychological notes. Behavioral warnings. Drawings of eyes and trains. Reports of missing children even before the fire. Authorities suspected Adam, Wamboi said. But the system couldn't admit a 6-year-old could do such things. So they buried the case, Eli whispered. And Adam disappeared. Her voice hardened. Until now. Eli stared at a faded photo, a small boy, serious eyes, no smile. Those eyes were the same ones that stared back at him from the warehouse rafters. But something else caught his attention, a name scribbled in the margins of the psychologist's notes. Eli. His pulse spiked. What is this? Wamboi leaned in. The psychologist assigned to Adam was your mother. Eli's world tilted. Echoes of the past. He remembered her late nights. Her whispered frustrations. Her guilt. She always said, hurt people always try to hurt back. He had thought she meant adults. Monsters. He never imagined she meant a child she couldn't save. Eli sank into the chair. So his pattern isn't random, he murmured. He's communicating. With me. Wamboi nodded. He knew exactly who to call. Eli flipped through more pages and stopped at a final, chilling assessment. Adam's attachments are not born of affection, but of rivalry. He does not want love. He wants to win. Outside, thunder rolled over the city like metal on steel, trains in the sky. Eli stood, energy shifting. This isn't a manhunt, he said. It's a competition he thinks we are playing. And he thinks he's winning, Wamboi added. Eli turned toward the door. Not for long. Public panic. By sunrise, the story had escaped police control. A blurry cell phone video leaked online, flashing lights, officers swarming the train yard, rumors exploding. Child killer strikes again. Police helpless. Our kids aren't safe. Journalists gathered outside the precinct like vultures waiting for movement. Microphones waved through the air like weapons. A mother shouted on live television, eyes wild with fear. What if he takes mine next? What are you doing about this? The clip hit millions of views within an hour. Inside the briefing room, a tension simmered. Chief Komoto slapped a stack of newspapers down hard enough to echo. Look at this. The media is calling him the Nairobi Shadow. They've made him a legend. Detective Wamboi bristled. We didn't leak anything. That doesn't matter. The chief pointed to the screaming headlines. He wants attention, and they are feeding him. Eli stood back, his jaw clenched. Cameras outside. Security alerts at schools. Citizens calling for curfews. Politicians demanding results. Adam was watching all of it. And enjoying it. A message for the masses. Just before noon, every major news station received an email at the same time. No subject. No signature. Just a short video clip. A hooded figure turned slowly to face the camera. His voice was disguised, metallic and eerie. You can't protect them. You can't even see me. A city full of eyes, but none watching the right place. Then the camera panned to a child's shoe hanging from a chain. A timestamp flickered in the corner at 11:59 p.m. A deadline. The room exploded into movement, officers scrambling, radios crackling, orders. Panic was no longer outside, it was here, in the bones of the police force. Chief Komotho glared. He's challenging us. Publicly. Wamboi nodded grimly. He wants the fear more than the victim. The fear is the point. Eli stepped forward, eyes fixed on the screen. No, he said softly. The point is me. They stared. He continued. He wants to prove I can't stop him. That he's smarter. Faster. Eli grabbed his coat and moved toward the exit. Wamboi caught his arm. Where do you think you're going? Eli's voice was low, controlled, but beneath it something was cracking. I'm going to end his game. Meanwhile, somewhere in the city, Adam watched the news broadcast from a hidden corner, perched like a crow in the rafters of an unfinished building. He traced the edge of a pocket knife against concrete. Smiling. Come on, Eli, he whispered. It's your turn. The kidnapped boy sat nearby, eyes wide and silent, tears streaking dusty cheeks. Adam didn't look at him, not yet. His gaze stayed on the skyline. On the city. On the stage. Let us know in the comments what you think about this story, and if you would like to hear more of such mystery.